Reflective action planning. Part of the reflective process, perhaps the most important part of the reflective process, is taking action in response to what we're reflecting on. And therefore, the action planning process is very much about selecting a specific target, a specific action to accomplish. And this involves a number of things. It certainly involves planning out a program, not only of reflection, but the actions in relation to that reflection. This could include discussing with colleagues notes in the reflective journal and your actions which you're planning. It could also be a process of observing other teachers or having other teachers observe you to give you feedback and for you to acquire more knowledge about your approach as a teacher. It's very much about not only action planning, but focusing on the effectiveness, the quality of what you're doing as a teacher. The reflective action planning process then is about identifying the opportunities that you have and discussing these opportunities. Are they appropriate? And also using this process to reinforce what you're doing well and to identify where you need to make improvements, where you need to make changes. An effective action plan then is something that we need to think about. It's not just about putting action points on paper. The effective action plan is a very, very useful document for the reflective practitioner. It helps you build up a profile of your work and your development over time. It's certainly something that is a professional document and therefore should not be just for your consumption, but also for it should be shared with your line manager, the principal in the school, and others. And of course, therefore, the action plan needs to be very precise in terms of how it's written, not vague. And so an action plan answers certain questions for the reflective practitioner. For example, questions like, well, what is my priority here? What do I need to focus on? What is it that needs to change? What do I need to achieve with this particular change? And within that identification of the what, there also needs to be an understanding of when these things are going to occur and when they will be completed. When am I going to do this? And when will I know that I've completed this? As well, we need to consider in the action plan is who can support the reflection process and the action process. You are not operating in isolation in the school, you're operating as part of a team. And so there are those people who can help you. How will you get their help? How will you also collect evidence of what you're doing? And how will you collect evidence which will help you measure the level of success that you're having? These are other aspects which need to be included, other questions which need to be included in the action plan for which you're seeking answers. And what you want to think about is the action planning process not just as a means for directing what you're doing, but as a process which is going to help you develop your confidence, because through this process you will become more effective as a reflective practitioner, more effective as a teacher. For example, you could ask a question like, you're going to discuss the particular school policies or approaches of the school with your head of department. This is something that you could include in the action plan as something very valuable. And what sort of support arrangements would you need in order to make this work? And really, the success criteria, what will demonstrate through the evidence that you collect that you've been successful with the action planning process?